everyone, welcome to Down and Dirty. Today we're going to continue on from the first video of the CavFab Tire carrier install and the RTEC LED license plate light. I'm going to finish up the carrier install and get the wiring done for the LED license plate light, get everything wrapped up, get the spare tire put on, and see how it all looks. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so I did a lot of measuring. Center of the tire, down, clear the bumper, backspace from here to here, and they've got all kinds of holes. This carrier, like they say, you can put up a 40-inch tire on here, so got all kinds of holes, lots of adjustment in and out. This piece actually moves way out or way in depending on the size of your tire. So I think I'm right where it's going to clear right now. It should clear the bumper. I know some people say they'll set it up as high as they can, so you've got the ground clearance going up steep inclines. I might raise it one more hole. I'm going to take a couple more measurements here. So where the tire's already going to be high in the back window anyway. You're going to lose most of your view. Still got to get my third brake light on, my backup camera. Well, you got two bolts that are going to go in here also, one on each side. It looks like with my tire, I'm going to be all the way back. So that keeps me from sticking out. So I want to do a couple more measurements, see if I want to raise it up one more knot. Right now, I'm over an inch up off the bumper. So we'll see what we come up with. What we're working on now is getting a wire ran for our license plate light. And I unwound this cloth tape to this protecting sleeve here that all the wires are currently ran through for brake light and the camera and the electronic door lock and what have you. So anyway, we've got plenty of room in this sleeve. One thing I had to do was undo this zip tie mount, and really difficult to try to do it. Show you in here how to do that. Show you, I think I'm gonna set one up in the vise. Just put it on something. I can show you. Just use a pick, and you can release the little latch thing there. Did the same thing on the other end. Undid the tape, and undo another zip tie. So once we run our wire through here, I'll just reuse these zip ties that are already mounted on here. Just push them back up through, and we'll retape the ends back up. Piece of cake. So we'll go right through and set our lengths. So I think that's all we need right here for now. We'll get all this put back together. All right. Like I said, we're going to reapply some adhesive on here. What I'm using, this actually is says Whirlpool products. I believe it was from replacing a dryer seal. It's the same sticky glue. You can buy 3M or whatever. It's all the same thing. It actually looks exactly the same as the other 3M that I have that's in a tube in the other garage. That's all you gotta do, put these back in. You definitely want to put them back in. Over here, we'll go grab my grease zerks. So I was talking about, I drilled and tapped this for a grease zerk, so we can grease these hinges. Snug them up. All right, put some grease in these. Yep, it's starting to come out. See, I'll try to get up closer to the camera, but you can see where it's starting to squeeze out around the bushing. Kind of see, I think, where it started squeezing out around the bushing there. Same with up there. Then just take a rag and wipe off your excess. All right, this is the backing plate. It has to be on before the tire. There's your accessory plate, bolts to this. License plate relocation, rear brake light, camera, everything. camera wire, third brake light. You need to feed these through the center of the tire when you put it on. Okay, so this is how I do a spare tire in the shop. Rotating tires, whatever. Best way to do this is with an engine hoist, if you have one. These things are nice, convenient. They don't cost that much. This one has the folding legs, and by the time you collapse it all the way down and put it all together, it only takes up about 2.5 by 2 foot space. Very well worth it. Lots of other uses for it. And this is a fantastic one. 37-inch tires are a bit heavy. So this is what I do. See here with my CavFab tire carrier, I've got camera and third brake wires sticking out. So you just need to feed those through the wheel as you put the wheel up on here on your 3 studs. And it's all right. Let's get this wheel put up on here. Keep the lug nuts in your pocket, make it easy. That's pretty much it. Best way to do it by yourself. All right. This is the license plate bracket. Came with CavFab tire carrier. It's made for the factory brake light, goes in and mounts right there. So I made up my own bracket. This is for my license plate lights. It's a light kit that I bought from Artec Industries. Comes with 2 of these LEDs, one for each side, and waterproof plugs to wire it all in, so you can unplug it, remove this bracket when you're changing the spare tire out. Screws that hold the third brake light on are going to hold my bracket on. And then my bracket, I will have my 2 LED lights coming out of here. Get those installed and get this mounted with the third light. Okay, so here we are. We've got these right here are LEDs. See those LEDs right there on each side? This is a factory third brake light. Backup camera. This is what I have. You know, this is just the CavFab. CavFab comes with this license plate mount. Put your factory third tail light. It's already made for that. Your factory backup camera goes right in there. And like I said, this black bracket here, I made that. And like I said, I just painted it black for now. I'm going to get it painted red later. But I just made that up, and it attaches with the factory screws there for the third brake light. They've got a sealer in there, basically to make that waterproof, is what it's for. I think I'm going to take some shrink tubing, the same size as these, or shrink tubing that'll fit over this threaded part. And actually, I'm going to shrink tube from there down a little ways with some, it's going to be larger shrink tube, of course. And then I've got smaller shrink tube for these wires. I'm going to shrink tube these all together. We're going to get everything wired together here. And we'll get the pin connector made up, waterproof pin connector that comes with it. Okay, here's what I do with the shrink tubing. I used a larger piece, which is basically about 1/4 inch, I think they call it. Fits very snug over this threaded part of this LED with a nut threaded on. Right there's where the threaded part starts. I don't know if you can see that line. So I've got it shoved on there, over 1/4 inch. And then what I did, I have a smaller size, the next size down, so it'll shrink tight over the wires, tucked inside of it. I'm going to heat all this up with a heat gun and shrink it down. And I did the same thing on both sides. And this is going to help protect the wires more. What I'm doing, I'm holding these wires where I want them to be. Let the shrink tubing cool. We would have held them straight up, and then it'd be hard to make them go anywhere you really wanted them to go. You want to do this while the shrink tubing is still warm. And then once it cools off, it'll just pretty much stay right where you want it. So this way, if it was sticking straight out back, I'd have a hard time pulling it back around where I want it to be. I want it to be right in here, because right there's the plug for our third brake light. So I want that plug to be, I want this basically to line up with the wire for the third brake light plug. So I'm going to do the other side, do the same way. So now by doing this, we've added more protection for our wire. At the same time, my wire is going to stay right where I want it to. The remaining wire, I'm going to take and twist it all together and shrink tube it all the way up to the end to where our waterproof pin plugs go on. We've got one for each side for the removable side and for the tailgate side. And we'll get those pin plugs put on. These are your pin connectors. We're going to install the male connector on this end. And these connectors, normally you use a special crimper to crimp these right here onto the wire itself, and these right here go onto the insulation to help hold it in. I'm going to use a pair of needle nose. So I don't know if you can actually see that, but there's like 3 fingers. I've already bent one finger in. There's 3 separate fingers. I'm bending them in one at a time. Bending them in on top of the wire. I'll hold this so you can see it, but okay, so I've bent the first 2 fingers in. First 2 out of 3 on each side. Then we'll do the others. Okay, we have them all bent in. It's holding onto the wire. And then we need to wrap these inward also on the insulation. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of solder on that just to make sure. Just since I don't have the actual crimper that crimps it and would really crimp it a lot tighter than what I can get it. Just wanted to say real quick, the shrink tubing over here, I said it was 1/4 inch. It's actually 3/16. And this right here is 1/8 inch. And then right here is 3/16 again. I said 1/4 inch earlier, but it's actually 3/16. All right, just got a little bit of solder on each one. I'm shooting for right there on the end where it actually started going up into this connector. You know, I'll get these last pieces supposed to go around your insulation here, get these crimped on. And they're kind of long. Might not hurt to trim them since the wire we're working with here is so small. But get them wrapped around. Just kind of tuck the one inside the other. Work it around. All right, so we got them all completely crimped on now. Okay, now we're going to insert these into the plug. We're doing what's considered the female side of the plug here. Your pins, when you stick them in, unless you have a tool to remove them, you want to make sure you're ready for this part, because these barbs that stick out on each side, there's 2 of them. That's what hooks into the connector. When you push it in, that'll lock. These will lock in so you can't pull them back out. Now they do make a special tool. Of course, it'd have to be just that diameter where you can push in and push your barbs in and release it. So we're going to push these into the connector now. That's it. Can't pull them out. They've locked themselves in. Now the thing you really need to pay attention to is when you do the other side, this side, that you line up your red and your black. Because your black is negative, your red is your positive. So you want to make sure you line those up with the way that your connector goes together. Because you got your latch right there. Make sure your hook and your latch are both on the same side. Not upside down, but you can't go together. So you got to make sure you have red and black and black when you put your wires back in or put your wires into the other side. That you have positive and negative matching up. Now we're going to push these waterproofing plugs inside of here. And this cover keeps them from being able to push back out when you plug your connector together. All right, we're done. All right, right now we're going to heat up and shrink down this last piece of shrink tubing that I put on here. And then I'm going to just wrap tape around this part of it right here to help protect it. That's just more protection for our wire. Keep everything together nice and neat. I'll tape up the very ends here. All right, got my crimps on. We're on the Jeep side of the wiring now. Actual vehicle side of the wiring. I've got my, these are the female pin connectors. I'm going to put a little bit of solder on these like we did the males. Alright, both of them soldered on. Alright, one thing I want to make note of here is these green waterproof plugs. I turned these around from the way I installed the other ones. I kind of think they're supposed to go this way with that nipple part pointing out of the plug instead of in. I'm pretty sure I got the other ones in backwards because some of the difficulty I was having getting them to stay in with the plug, and I don't know. I'm kind of thinking they might go this way, and I'll show you why when we actually put the cover on this. Okay, now we're going to do our connector. I don't know if you can see it on here. It's got an A and a B. It just so happens the B side were my red wires over there. My A side was my black wire. So we don't have red here, we have white, but I'm going to make that's going to be our red. So we can keep black and black consistent. It's going to be our negative or our ground for a 12-volt system. So our white wire needs to go into the B. So white goes into B, black goes into A, so it matches the other plug. You just simply push them in, lock into place. We'll get these plugs pushed in here. I'll show you why I think these plugs go this way. So actually, if you push them just right there, then when you close this part will close right on this part. Kind of locks the wire in, I think, is what it's supposed to do. Like so. I believe that's how it's actually supposed to be. Okay, I removed our cover here that covers up the storage area. Popped off our jack cover. Just removed this. T40 Torx, or tie downs. It's a T40 Torx. This little cover just snaps on over that. If you just pop the cover up, T40 Torx, 3 of them. You need to remove this piece. And then we can get this, pull the seal off here. Get this interior panel pulled. Okay, you got to remove this right here. It's a spring-loaded bolt, holds your taillight in. So once you remove this cover, you got to remove this bolt. It's 10mm socket. Okay, I couldn't really have a camera in here while I was popping this panel off. A lot of ugging, tugging. Make sure you use your plastic tools. There's a lot of clips that hold it on. Just got to kind of work your way around it, pull it off. Then when you pull your panel back, you'll see there's this wire right here. You have to unplug for your 12-volt accessory that's in this panel. And then you can completely remove this panel. So we can get into our wiring that we need to get into to wire in our light for our license plate. All right, we're going to remove the tail light and get the wiring. We already took our spring-loaded bolt, screw, whatever out. So at that point, tail light just comes right off. So I was talking about, that's all that holds us on. So if you happen to catch this on a tree or something, it should come right off. All right, pull this little red tab back. We should be able to release it. All right, we're inside the taillight opening here, and this went to our taillight. This wire here goes down underneath to our license plate light, the factory one. So I'm going to get that disconnected. We're going to disconnect that down underneath, and then we're going to pull that out, and we're going to use that wire to go to our new LED lights that we just installed on our CavFab Tire carrier bracket. All right, we got to get to the wire for the original light here. This panel should just pop off. Pop that baby right off there. Get our wire unplugged. Okay, plugged our wire, factory light. Okay, here's all the connectors, or tie, zip tie, tree, whatever you want to call them. How many I took off. How many were on the bumper. I think there was a couple of those were actually in the body up underneath. There's a plug up underneath the body, under the tail light. I'll show you that here. That you can actually unplug and disconnect if you need to remove the bumper with a factory harness. I'm going to leave that plug intact underneath there. I'm just pulling the wire back up through where it came. This wire right here is the wire that comes from the harness up front, along with your tail light right here. Comes from a plug from up above. And went down to the plug. There's a plug right down below here that you can disconnect if you want to pull your bumper off with this factory light. So you just unplug that plug and this wire would go with the factory bumper. I want to reuse this wire, so I brought it back up right here. Back up the same place where it went down. And I'm just going to leave that factory plug underneath it here. And I don't want to mess with it, so we're just going to leave it. I got plenty of wire anyway. So this is all the wire that I pulled up that went down, wrapped around the bumper, is like a mile long. And here's the plug that went to the original light. We're going to end up cutting this plug off, but we're going to use this wire to connect to our new wire for our new lights on our CavFab setup. Okay, this is the tape that they had wrapped around this rubber grommet. I just popped it through from the inside. If you remove your panel, you would see this from the top side. And I removed the tape, but they had it all taped right around here. Then they have like a goo inside of there, I guess, to help seal it, keep the water out, weather out, whatever. I've taken the small Phillips screwdriver and shoved it up through there, making myself a hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the plug off the end of this, and I'm going to shove it up through that hole. Maybe feed a wire, something down through there. TIG wire always works good for that. Something maybe to tape this to and pull it back up through that hole. So what we're doing is I'm taking the wire, sending it right back up through the grommet that it originally, right there it is the original wire that goes down to that plug. So I didn't want to mess with that plug. I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. So we're just going to leave all that the way it is, and I'm just going to cut this wire off. I'm going to feed this wire back up same direction it came, and then I'll have enough wire to reach my wire that I have coming from my new lights. All right, I'll attempt to record this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. We'll just go try. Be careful. Just slide it up in behind there. Careful, try not to poke any of your existing wires either. There we are. Okay, I had to move the camera out of my way. I couldn't do both. I could get both my hands in here and do everything with the camera, but knocked it over. So anyway, here's my wires. They fed up from underneath with the TIG wire. Shoved the TIG wire up through there with these taped to it. And I've now untaped it, pulled the TIG wire back out. So here we are, we've got our wires fed back up through the factory grommet, back inside the Jeep, so we can hook it up to my wire that I have going to our new lights. Then when we get done, we'll tape all this back up nice and neat again. And okay, here's our wires that we brought up from underneath. This white and blue and this black. We need to know what is positive, what is negative. So what you do is you use a meter. Okay, here I have my meter. Red's positive, black's negative on the meter. So you touch your wires, if it shows positive, which I suspected the white is positive, it is 13 volts positive. Now if you'd happen to be backwards, not knowing, right there it's showing negative. I don't know if you can see that. But you put the meter leads on, and if your red is on the negative, your black's on the positive, it's going to read negative on the meter. So you want to make sure you get your wires. Black's always negative, red's always positive on a DC system. So if it's showing on your meter positive, your red is going to your positive, your black's going to your negative. If it's showing negative on your meter, it's the opposite. You're backwards. Soldered these wires together, got shrink tube on them and everything. Now I'm going to tape them up all the way up to, I already have tape on them coming out of the grommet. These are the original wires. This gray one here is the one that went out to the tire carrier. So we'll get some tape put on all that and we get the cover put back on. And okay, this is how I ran my wire. This is 3M double-sided adhesive tape used to put moldings on, everything else. Used by all manufacturers for all different types of things. But so I put down this 3M double-sided tape and stuck the wire to it. All the way down. All the way up around the top here. And all the way, not quite all the way over to the grommet, but close to the grommet. So anyway, we've got it all stuck down, so it's good, safe. Not going to get in the way of anything. And it's the easiest way to attach it. So here we are. Got the Jeep running, LEDs on. I think you do good. Lighten up the plate. All right, well, that wraps up this installation of the CavFab Tire Carrier. Love this product. It's very nice, very well built. Love the adjustability for different size tires, back sets, what have you. It's a very nice setup. Very happy with it so far. Been on several wheeling trips with it. It's holding up very good. Like I said, you might want to do grease zerks in your hinges though, so you can keep your hinges greased up. And also love the Artec lighting for the LEDs, license plate LEDs. It's very nice as well. Lights up the license plate very good. All right, so like, subscribe, share, comment below. Let me know what you think. Appreciate y'all. Take care. Thank you.